All right, testing. Let's see how this works. Now, remember that little box I was telling y'all about that I got? Now, that foodie dude from Minneapolis, he talked about one called the Mino box. I didn't get to do the review I wanted to on this. I'm not exactly sure. I just had some real spicy food, so y'all gotta bear with me. I don't remember what brand. This was like some knockoff brand that I got. There was a survival. I watch a lot of survival YouTube videos. And remember when people used to be talking about all these conspiracy theorists, these survival people, way stocking up, they doomsday or whatever. Y'all see what's going on. Saying something without saying something. Y'all see what's going on. You see it ain't too far-fetched why folks doing what they do. Anyway, there was a survival video that I was watching, and I'm starting to believe a lot of devices are doing the whole Toyota Acura thing, or the Lexus Toyota. I think it's Lexus Acura, Lexus Toyota thing. Basically, a Acura Acura is made. I think Acura makes Toyota or Lexus or one of those. Acura makes Lexus. The Lexus is an upgrade. So you remember, like back in the day, Nas and Ray and all them, what they talk about, Lex Bubbles, the Mac and the Black Act. You know what I'm saying? Like the Acuras, man, those are good cars. I think Toyota makes Acuras or Acura makes Lexus. Lexus is the upgrade to the Acura, I think. I'm, you know, if I'm wrong, y'all let me know. But anyway, my point is, I'm starting to believe that some of these people that manufacture, take this off, that manufacture a lot of these devices. What happens might be a little wind. It feels real good out today. This, you know, I live for this weather. What happens is, I think that there's like a main place somewhere in China that makes a bunch of these, and somebody slaps a label on there and it charges you a whole bunch of money. So now, what I really like about this case, I think I paid $10, $15. I don't even think I paid $20 for this. And I don't remember the brand, but I think I made a video about this, and I'll try to link it. But this is like a self-charging unit. There's a lot of stuff like this on Temu. USB-C in the back, and it charges itself. So when you charge this, you could bring this with you, and it will charge these. So you get two of them. And I swear I only paid like $10 or something like that. I might have to start repopping these joints off or something like that. Start price gouging y'all ass. These are real good. So I've been carrying this with me because remember I told you I want to start making a documentary. I want to make a documentary about my heritage and get a lot of oral tradition and information from my grandma, stuff like that. So I think I want to kind of dive into some film alongside with tech and then cover that journey. So maybe I'll use one of these and then upgrade to a 14 and do some of it. But I start thinking about doing something else. I don't really want to tell y'all what it is, but it's super old school. I'll just say that. And I might have some of that equipment already. I just don't want to say what it is. But it'll be something, whatever I get this done, I'm probably going to end up putting it on this channel. You know, this documentary work. So, anything, with that said, I think, I'm going to come back and do the rest. I'll be right back. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about what I talked about yesterday and expound upon it a little bit. Now that my microphone, I got these mics that work even better. So I got two. I got this one, which somebody can have a conversation and I can interview them with. And I got this one. So, I popped a half a Benadryl, so my allergies should start kicking down a little bit. But, remember in 2008, there's one thing I forgot to tell you guys. When I got into that car accident and I found out I was diabetic, it all happened in the same time. This was mainly about, I'd say, a month, 1 month after I was done with my 1 year internship. Next time I go over south, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to show y'all where the internship was and all of that kind of stuff. Because that's a part of the channel. And I haven't done that. That was actually the start of where I could say my career really started. Now, when I actually started kind of doing something, I'll say my career started maybe years later. Remember, I took the unconventional route. So when I took that contract, Robert Half started sending me to different places. The first place they sent me to was Assurance. And see, this is where mentorship might have helped me a little bit. Seeing how these, and see, when I went to Assurance and Woodbury, it's an insurance company. It was for a help desk position. But remember, when I was doing my internship, I was already at level 2. I wasn't doing help desk. We didn't have any remote tools at the time. We did use RDP. I think at one point in time, I used Active Directory. I learned about Cisco phone administration. I was supporting MacBooks and I was supporting PCs. And I was installing routers, network cables. I was doing a lot of these things. That's level 2. So me interning and gaining that experience at the beginning, that put me into level 2. Help desk is always level 1. But I say that help desk a lot of times is harder than level 2. Harder than desktop. Because you on the phone probably with some jerk half the time that probably should just be using a typewriter. But yet and still they have a computer. They ought to probably have a quill with some ink. But yet they have a computer. And they don't know how to, I don't know how they do their job. I don't know how the hell they got hired. But they're calling you up and they want you to walk you through some basic stuff that they should, do before you actually get to the root of the issue. So that's typically help desk. But you're learning all the business units in help desk. So they sent me to Assurance. I had the interview there. Now, had somebody would have kind of walked me through the yard, quote unquote, I would have known that all skin folk ain't kinfolk. They had this sister there, and they had a bunch of other white folk on the panel, and she was giving me a harder time than the white folk. So when she was done buck dancing in the interview, and I could actually kind of get through it, I was kind of like, man, I don't really want to work there. But I'm going to just be honest on what happened. I get in the interview, I'm telling them about my experience. They start talking to me as if I don't have the experience. And she led the pack. She kind of reminded me of like a Candace Owens type almost. But so they found this sloppy mammy to give me to ask a lot of the questions and lead the role, because see, it doesn't look like there's no prejudice, no, because they got a black person in the room. And I was wondering, why is she so hostile? What is so hostile about this group? You have a new prospective employee, possibly a contractor coming through. So I'm answering all the questions. I'm answering them stellar like. I got my suit on, so I'm suited and booted. I look good. My haircut is on point. I mean, there was really not much a reason for them to act like that, let alone not hire me. But when they started when I seen how the interview was going, I started kind of just drowning the interview. You know what I'm saying? Because I was giving it my all the first 15 minutes. And then once I seen what the vibe was, nobody was smiling. Nobody really acted like they wanted to greet me initially when I came in the room. I'm thinking about all this while I'm doing the interview. So after a while, I was kind of like, the hell with these damn people. I don't want to be here. So I start just kind of drowning in the interview, giving little simple word, answers and stuff like that. And when they start telling me about the call center and all the calls, I said, man, I don't want to do this shit. I being with this group, if these are the people I got to work with, I said, no. And then they got this mammy up in here. She's acting real funny, real funny style. Made a couple little smart remarks when I was explaining myself. You need to explain that a little better and all this kind of little stuff. And it's just the tone and, the way they were answering the questions. Cause I'm like, I don't know these people. I never did anything to them. There's really no reason for them to be acting like this. And I'm like, they acting like they don't want me in the room. So I thought that was very, very strange. I still didn't get how this stuff works. Cause I'm seeing a black face and I'm assuming, okay, we on board with each other. No. So I call the recruiter when I get in my car. I call the recruiter when I get out the car. I tell them, man, I don't know what was going on, if they had a bad day, but it seemed like everybody in there was having a bad day for whatever reason it was. I said, I don't think this is a good fit. So they got feedback from the client maybe a day or two later. They're like, well, you didn't seem too interested in this, that, and the third. And I'm like, man, nah, I ain't really interested in that or whatever the case may be. So what happened next was this. They said, well, you look like you need to be in desktop support. Now they should have probably sent me somewhere that's working more hands-on, imaging computers, doing all that kind of stuff that I've been doing. Help desk at that time was kind of below me. There's really no point for me to do help desk when I've been touching all these other technologies at that point. But I guess they figure this is his first corporate enterprise run. So they sent me to the position at West River Road. This is where I met Trailer Trash Bob. The brother that was running it, he was the head of IT in North America. Again, I'm thinking maybe he'll kind of take me under the wing, pull me to the side, hey man, hey bro, keep it clean, do this, that, and the third, whatever the case may be. I didn't get stuff like that till way later when I was the lead on my first Windows deployment lead position. That came in 2014, man. You see what I'm saying? That came in 2014. So again, I'm on my own. All right, cool. I know how to conduct myself. Still not getting how this process works. I'm thinking that we might be able to have a little brother conversation. Because I'm assuming this is a black person. We're automatically on code together. No, that ain't the case. So when I started noticing the first week, I think the first week or two, one of those weeks, it might have been the first, second, or third week, maybe the first month. I don't know. But I believe it was in August. So it might have been the first, second, or third week or whatever the case may be. And that's when I got into the car accident on the weekend. And then I was having these weird symptoms. And that's how I found out I was diabetic. But the first couple of days when I was training, I had these diabetic symptoms and I didn't really know what was going on. I had no clue. I should have went to the hospital. But I'm still kind of out of my mind. My sugar's so high. I'm not knowing this. And I'm talking to the white guy that's training me, Trailer Trash Bob. The one I told y'all that got all the Nazi stuff in his house and all this. I found that out later. And while he was training me and he was talking to me and showing me via phones and how to log into them and do this and that. While he was talking to me, he was looking at me. And he kept looking at me weird. But remember, I'm not in my right mind 100% because I'm sick. And I don't know that I'm sick. I know that there's something wrong, but all the worst symptoms I'm having. My eyes are crossing. I'm having all this stuff going on. So I'm still trying to pay attention to this person the best way I can, even though I'm not feeling well. I didn't want to go home because this is my first rodeo. This is my first corporate contract. So I don't want to go home. So now I'm talking to this dude. He's looking at me real funny. I'm not really liking it. I'm getting ready to ask him, man, you cool? You good? I let him go on and explain. I said, let me try to get away from his cubicles. Let me try to make this. So I'm trying to remember this process, but I'm not remembering it too well. And I don't even think I wrote nothing down. I want to get out this dude's cubicle. So we log into the phones, whatever. I go back to my little cubicle and desk. This is the first time I start using what they call Dameware, remote technology. Around this time, I think I might have already been using TeamViewer. I think I was using TeamViewer or learning about TeamViewer. I'm trying to think of when. I'm trying to remember when TeamViewer came out. Then I'll know for a frame of reference. So let me look that up real quick. All right. So TeamViewer, the time it came out, I didn't look it up. I'm just going to post a screenshot of the receipts. So I'm logging into people's computers remotely to do what they call Lotus Notes configurations. They were using Lotus Notes. They weren't using Outlook. And remember, this is a Danish company. So the Lotus Notes administrator is a dude from Denmark. So one of the major points that I wanted to talk about was when I got into this car accident, I had like back injuries or, like I shouldn't be lifting stuff real heavy or whatever. I told them that, cause sometimes what I would do during lunch, sometimes I would just drive down during lunchtime. I would go to the chiropractor, usually after work, but every now and then I would do it after, or during lunch and then drive right back. It'll only be like, I'd only be gone like 20 minutes or whatever, and I just make up to work. So the doctor told me, don't lift nothing over 50 pounds like big printers, because I told him I do IT, so man, you probably gonna be lifting real heavy stuff. They had these big, gigantic printers that I had to wheel from place to place. And I've already told the client that I'm not supposed to be working on this kind of stuff. I told the phone guy, the Trailer Trash Bob, that, hey, if it's something really heavy, I ain't supposed to be lifting it. They try to act like I ain't tell them. So I went and got a doctor's note, put it on my manager's desk. Now I knew that's going to put a little restriction on me because they might want me to do. Now, granted, that printer, and that's why I told y'all, when you're a contractor, sometimes what they try to do is they try to have you do a bunch of bullshit that ain't got nothing to do with you. That was the printer's team. They were supposed to be wheeling that thing around or whatever, but they probably just figured, well, we can just abuse this dude, even after he gave us that paperwork. So I told them for the third time, I'm not supposed to be lifting and messing with this stuff. Because if something happens, they could be liable. They didn't really seem to give a damn. So I said, well, all right. So I kept doing it. My back was kind of bothered or whatever, but the doctor said, man, but I said, all right, man, I'm just going to push through the pain. I'm just going to go ahead and just keep on working. So that's what I did. So one day I noticed I came in to work and I was talking to the network engineer. There was a network engineer guy. This was around the time when Obama was running. So I didn't know nothing. I was dumb enough to go out there and vote for him. But first black president, didn't really know shit. I went ahead and we were getting prepared to do it. That's November. So I was still there coming up. The network engineer guy, he was explaining to me that he got into it with a lot of family members because they didn't want him to vote for him and this, that, and the third because he was black. So he was kind of telling us that. Now I found out later that he was a contractor. So, a week later, the network engineer got into it with one of the BAs or one of the PMs or somebody, and he was pissed. And he said, I'm about to pull a so-called, I'm gonna call him Trailer Trash Bob. I'm about to pull a Trailer Trash Bob. Trailer Trash Bob was the one, every time he gets mad, he kicks the door, he slams doors, he throws things, he does all this kind of stuff. And the brother was just kind of letting him get a pass because he was the only one. And so when I talked to the white guy that was kind of training me in, that told me about all the Nazi stuff in Trailer Trash Bob's house, he's like, man, he's the only one that knows the Avaya phone, so he got to kind of keep him around. So this is one of them environments where nobody else knows how to use that stuff. So here's another mentorship piece of advice that nobody was able to tell me. I had to figure this out. They will keep people around that will directly undermine other people, which in fact eventually undermines the company, because you have somebody that's venomous in your ranks, but you won't take them out because you're saying, well, there's no auxiliary process. There's no backup. Nobody else knows how to do this. And that's a point of failure in IT. Everybody knows that. You don't just have one database. You're supposed to have what they call high availability, failover. You're supposed to have another set if something happens. He's the only one that has access to this software and works with telecom and the phones and all that kind of stuff. So he could essentially treat me any old kind of way that he wants. Now, the guy, there was one incident where I guess I couldn't remember some of the phone system stuff or whatever the case may be. So I guess he got mad and I guess he didn't want to help or whatever. So I just said, okay, I'll let him deal with all the phone shit. If there's a phone issue or whatever the case may be. Because I plug up the phones. I was what they call the new hire coordinator. Now really it's a desktop job, but I set up all the new hires. You know what I'm saying? I give them their password. I image the machine. They install their printers and all that kind of stuff. But then I place the phone. So anybody that's a new hire, I would be handling most of the time. So I learned a lot of different things and did a lot of different things that I did not give myself enough credit for on my resume as I was going on. So I used to just put desktop support, but it was a new hire coordinator position, quote unquote. But you're doing desktop, you're imaging. So I did a lot more things than just what I was just doing. At one point, they started thinking about trying to put me on the help desk. I started to consider that, to not deal with Trailer Trash Bob, you know what I'm saying, and deal with some of like the Lotus Notes administrator, and to start dealing with some of the people that was, you know, might have been acting a certain way. But there was a white guy that I was working with, real cool dude. He knew how to do scripting and all that kind of stuff. And he was like, when I used to see him come out the help desk command center, he used to be like, man, Derek, man, you don't want to be over here. I said, well, I'll stay where I'm at. Because they were asking me, hey, do you want to do help? Do you want to consider doing help desk? So kudos for them giving me that option. But I said, well, I'll just stay where I'm at. So, Trailer Trash Bob, towards the end of the contract, this is around November, like getting out of the weeds of like later November. Now, around the time from maybe I'll say July, or not July. I started August, so I'm gonna say, let me see, August, September, October, November. I started going out to Vadnais Heights a lot more, and I like that because I got my own oversight. I ain't got to deal with Trailer Trash Bob, and they were happy to see me come at Vadnais Heights. Vadnais Heights was like the redheaded stepchild. Vadnais Heights, they barely got any IT support when they needed it. So when they came and see me, and I was bringing printers out there and moving those around. So I could just log in to the VPN or just log in remotely. I bring my laptop everywhere. We had the IBMs. That was before it was called Lenovo, I believe. So I really liked those IBMs because they were very, very rugged. I liked how they felt, and they were heavy, and they were very, very durable. So I was going out there. The people were happy to see me come. So a lot of times when I used to hear about a ticket coming in, a lot of people didn't want to go out to Vadnais Heights. So the guy that was training me in, that told me about trailer trashes, Bob's, Nazi stuff, and all that kind of stuff, I found out he was a little funny too. He stayed out in Stillwater. And I used to hear weird things about Stillwater back then in '08. I used to hear some weird stuff in regards to, black folks being out there in Stillwater. So when he told me he stayed out there, I was like, all right. So he was getting tickets for Vadnais Heights. He didn't have no car. So he didn't really want to go out there that much. But, I guess his wife had his car, whatever the case may be. And I used to wonder why this dude ain't never have a car, but he would take the bus. So a lot of times he would catch rides with me downtown when we had to go downtown. But one day I had to stop to get some gas. And we at the gas station at the M. Erder station, number 2 or 1. No, I think the first Erder station is, and I'm using the word Erder, you know what I'm saying? The first Erder station is the one on Broadway. That might be number 2, but I think it's number 1. And the second Erder station was what we call the Honeycomb. The Honeycomb gas station. I didn't go to Erder station number 1 because it's too much out in the open. You see what I'm saying? Erder station number 1 to me was too much out in the open. If I get into something, it's hard to kind of get out. It's small. The Honeybee, if something happens, you could still kind of move around. That's how my process was. If when I used to be over north, or let's say, let's say we get up with something, I didn't really mess with the north side like that when it comes to like females that much. I ain't just really do it like that. But if I was, and I got to stop for gas or do whatever the case may be, or let's say sometimes I'll be with my homies and we at the Erder station, if we at the Honeycomb, if we get into a fight or something goes down, it's easy to pull off. So I used to want to go to the Honeycomb. And, I don't know. I that's what I used to just like, dealing with that. So he made a comment talking about we at the Ghetto Bee. He made a comment about we at the Ghetto Bee. The first comment he made a weird comment when he was first training me in, and I put that in my Rolodex. Talking about Michael Jackson didn't make up the moonwalk, some white dude made it up or something. I said, oh, hell no. He showed me some little bullshit video of, I couldn't believe it. Something he found on the internet, I don't know. But it was just, so that, I said, okay, he's a little funny. Yeah, he told me about this Nazi stuff, but he's a little funny. So, then he made a comment about the Ghetto Bee. Yeah, we're at the Ghetto Bee. And I'm like, I said, okay, yeah, I can't rock with him. So after a while, when I got assigned for tickets to go downtown, I used to let his ass catch the bus. Cause that means he had to walk all the way up to the Ghetto Bee over there, because West River Road, he probably had to walk a couple blocks to try to take the bus downtown. He'd be like, hey, you're going downtown? Cause I catch a ride? Oh man, I'm about to go to Vadnais Heights. And I used to drive downtown. And park. Cause there'd be like I used to always park at the dock. You're not supposed to do that, but there was a brother that ran the dock. So he kick everybody else off the dock, make UPS hurry up and leave and stuff like that. And they tell other IT people, don't park inside the dock. But there was a brother that was running the warehouse or whatever. I said, hey man, I need somewhere to park or whatever. He said, hey young brother, hey, I'm about to move everybody else around. They have to load their shit. He be yelling at folks, hey, load all that up. Y'all got 10 minutes. And sometimes they be like, oh, well, that car ain't supposed to be parked there. He said, hey, I'm the dock master. Don't worry about that. That man got specific lawyer documents. He made it seem like I had some important shit in my car. I had computers sometimes, but usually the computers be down there. I might have a laptop I got to bring over, but so he would let me park. I'd have a whole, I forgot to tell y'all about that. I had a whole little space where I would park, but you got to get down there at a specific time to where you're not interfering with the trucks coming in. But what he would do is he would reserve a spot. So I park there real quick, do what I need to do downtown. And soon as I make my installations, hop back over to West River Road and try to get a ticket so I can go to Venice Heights. So a dude's on his way coming down to downtown Minneapolis, Mr. Ghetto B, the Ghetto B white dude. I said, yeah, I ain't rocking with him no more. He ain't got to catch no rides with me. So I would purposely avoid giving him a ride. Now, some people might say that's petty, but here's the thing. You've identified to me that you a suspected race soldier. So if I could avoid dealing with you anymore than I got to, I ain't gonna deal with you. You see what I'm saying? So, towards more so the end of the contract, like late November, at this time I was going to Holy Land during lunch, because I'm right over Northeast West River Road. You just kind of drive down the street and you go down Broadway and then you go past Gabby's and then you just hop on Central when you go to Holy Land. And I'll be grabbing little guy rolls and stuff. This is 2008. So around this time, Trailer Trash Bob, he hears about my contract ending. I ain't tell him it was, but you know, a lot of times people do that. And usually whenever I leave a contract, if I'm not rocking heavy with the team and it's some people that I'm not really trying to keep in much contact with at the time, I don't tell them anything. I'm a contractor. It's not something that I really need to broadcast. Now, I'll tell y'all this piece of advice. If it's somebody that can help you go forward or you're going to help use a reference, you can tell them. But I never liked people coming up to me asking what happened, where you're going, all these different kind of, because I know they don't really give a damn. They just want to talk and gossip. I never personally liked that. Because sometimes folks be fishing. You gotta watch some people too, man. Some people will try to find out where you going so they can go sabotage what you got going on over there. A lot of these folks know people in different places. I've seen that happen too. So I remember the one thing an older brother told me. He said, man, when you get ready to move around, if you got a feeling or an inkling and you can't really trust those folks, don't tell them where they going. It ain't none of their damn business. Unless you trying to get somewhere where you trying to go and you think that they gonna help. All you need is can convey dates and times as far as a reference. A lot of companies don't even want to give above that. That's a standard practice. They just want to do the dates and times for a reference. And so older cat told me, hey, listen, man, when you get ready to move around, you ain't got to broadcast that to everybody. It ain't necessary. Cause sometimes and then Minneapolis is small, Minnesota's small. Some of those folks, they not always in your best interest. They're not always in your worst interest, but they're not always in your best interest. And 9 times out of 10, they are not. History shows that. Otherwise, we wouldn't have this conversation and we would not have this damn channel. If that wasn't true, I wouldn't have even wrote them damn books. Y'all wouldn't be listening to me right now. Y'all wouldn't even, there'd be no reason for this channel whatsoever. This discussion would be non-existent. It would not. It would not. I wouldn't have no channel like this. And I wouldn't have wrote those books like that from the experience, that Black American experience in the workplace. I would not have this conversation whatsoever. Everything will be hunky-dory. It will be like we all in heaven right now. No violence, no this, no that. We just be all lives matter. It will be all lives matter. We be just brothers and sisters and it's just great. No crime and no racism, no nothing. No, you wouldn't. There'd be no reason for it. So, dude pulls up, Trailer Trash Bob pulls up, walks in my cubicle. Oh, he was so damn friendly. And I couldn't figure out why. Well, I heard your contract's ending. I said, oh, really? I said, who told you that? Well, man, the grapevine and all this here. And I said, yeah, okay. So they sitting there talking about me. So he said, yeah, man, I was a contractor too. And he's explaining and giving me the little pep talk and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, damn, this dude real nice that I'm leaving now. Real nice. This reminds me of that story I told y'all about, one of my guys that was down there at Fargo, and every single race soldier got fired. Every single one. They were so nice to him when he was leaving. Hey, do you hear about any new opportunities or this, that, and the third? And yeah, just people that never spoke to him ever. He walks past their desk, they giving him the evil eye. All this kind of stuff, and all of a sudden, these I don't even want to say suspected. These confirmed white supremacists now are showing up at his desk. Trailer Trash Bob pulls up on me. Yeah, man, this, that, and the third, all this kind of stuff. I didn't ask him to solicit this to me. I'm like, he being nice as a MFer. Why is he so nice? So I was a little offended. I'm like, yeah, I said, man, I ain't tripping at all. But no, man, don't feel bad, man. Now, of course, he's saying that he got a big ass $100,000, $150,000 telecom job. He's sitting around where he can kick doors and scream the F word and SOB and, just, do the most. Everything but the N word. He done said everything but the N word up in that joint, and he's never reprimanded. Every now and then, the nigga might talk to him. Hey, man, calm that down or whatever, but he don't get reprimanded. He don't get reprimanded at all. And, he looked a little surprised after a while when he was like, yeah, but man, don't you feel bad, man? And don't feel bad, man. I mean, this happens to all of us. All lives matter, man. I'm like, man, I ain't tripping or whatever, you know what I'm saying? I really wasn't. I really wasn't. And so, one of the ladies, she was like some kind of receptionist. I don't know. Like, she was redhead chick. And, now that I look back, I think she was trying to pay. That's where she was. I think she was trying to, and she was kind of chunky. Like them older white chicks where, they're like in their late 40s, early. I don't know how old she was, but you could tell she was older. I mean, I'm a little whippersnapper. I'm for real. I'm a grasshopper to a cricket. You know what I'm saying? So people tell me at work, I look 30 now. I think I look older than 30, but people at work tell me, well, I look 30. So you can imagine how I looked 20 years ago. You can imagine. You know what I'm saying? So she's like, well, she pulls me into her office. Hey, close the door. And she's like one of those, kind of overly thick white chicks that's a little older, but on the low, if she could pull something black that'll knock her down, she would. She seemed like that. You know what I'm saying? So I closed her. She said, you're contracted, so she's like telling me, we try to make it extend. So she's looking out. I ain't gonna lie. She looked out. She kind of looked out. And sometimes she told me some things like, I'd be a little talkative with the network engineer, and sometimes she pulled me to the side and be like, these guys are real busy or whatever like that, but I'm trying to be, I'm like, they say they smooth or whatever, I'm trying to do that, but sometimes that backfires. They say, oh, you smooth too much or whatever. So I'm trying to talk to everybody, bits and pieces, and then, people are saying, well, these, Derek, they're busy and they can't really, so I go cold. I go silent. I am by. Hey, man, you're not talking that much. Am I supposed to not talk or talk? I don't know. They play that pit and the pendulum, that Edward Allan Poe shit. They play that pit and the pendulum. It'll swing left, right. You don't know which way to go. So she tried to give me a little piece of advice here and there. So as I stop kind of talking as much as I do, that's when folks start asking like, well, man, you ain't really saying much. No. And I'm like, damn, man, I don't know what y'all want to, if I say too much or if I don't say enough or, so I couldn't find no balance. So I just did my work and gets high and by. But now that offends people. So now when she pulls me into that room, And I stand at the doorway, and she's like, "Hey, cut the door, shut the door." And she kind of looked like this. She said, "Hey, close the door." And she's like, I know your contract's coming to an end and this, that, and the third and all that, but and I'm prideful at the time. I'm not. Instead of just saying, "Yeah, I should have," she's like, "Hey, you know, you good? Like, your paper straight and all that, and knowing damn well it wasn't. I'm sitting there trying to play the high and mighty Negro. I'm knowing damn well my shit was not at all. But remember, in December, and remember, I was still selling PCs. I was still doing some stuff on the side. But my side money, I don't want that. That's to the side. I want to keep on. So I thought the contract might go longer. They said, "Oh, it was an experimental position and this, that, and the third." So she's trying to figure out if my paper's straight. And then she's like, and I'm like, "Well, and she said, "Well, you can let me know if it's not." I wasn't getting it at that time. That's why the door was shut. So basically, this is what I think. In so many words, she, because you could tell she was one of them chicks that got that bag. She was gonna tell me, she didn't say it, but in so many words, she was like, if your money's kind of, because she's not. Remember, she's the client. She's a perm. She's ain't got nothing to do with the agency. So she's trying to figure out, do I still got some money? Do I got something, lined up, or have I been interviewing? I ain't been interviewing at all. My whole thing was, okay, I get laid off. I'm about to, I'm gonna take a break for a month and I'm gonna go back at it or something. So, in so many words, y'all, I think she was inquiring. I think she was trying to do the all about the Benjamins. I wish I had a sound effect. You know what a sound effect I'm talking about. I think she was trying to have some freak offs. I think she was trying to diddy. She was trying to diddy me. I think she was trying to, for real. Because she's like, "Hey, look. Hey, if your money ain't right, let me know. I could do something." She didn't say what I had to do. But, and she, now this threw me off a little bit too. She's like, "Look, you could call me. You could kind of let me know, if things ain't really, and, I'll help you." I didn't ask her for that. She kind of low-key solicited. And I think she was kind of, and then she kind of not twirled her hair, but you know how the white girls, they'll kind of put her hair back. And I'm like, "Is you trying to come on to me, old lady? You can lose another 70, you can lose another 60 something pounds." Like, and I ain't really, I wasn't into the white women like that. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't my thing. I mess with sisters. So, but I think I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I think she was straight up soliciting for real. I think she was kind of like, "Man, shit, you knocking these hood riots down for free. You come tear me down a few times. I'm going to hit you with some racks." But I'm not really thinking too much of it or whatever like that. Now, in hindsight, I was thinking like, okay, that's probably what she's on. And I told my buddies, oh, they flipped out. I said, "Man, well, I'm still green at the time." I'm like, "Hey, man, what's that mean when, I'm so green. I'm so green. You would think I wouldn't have been so damn green." "Hey, this lady asked me, about my contract and all that." And they were like, "Oh, okay, yeah, sometimes they do that." I said, "But she told me to close the door." And they like, "Close the door?" I said, "She could have said it openly in front of everybody." And I was like, "Man, she told you shut the door." He said, What happened?" I said, "Well, she's asking, is my money right?" She said, she asked, "What?" And I said, "Yeah." So they like, well, no, they don't usually ask that. They ain't supposed to be asking no financial questions. She doesn't handle the paperwork for that. Robert Half does. So she's like, so I tell him, I said, "Yeah, well, she told me I call her if I need something." She said, "Nigga, what?" They said, "That you didn't call?" Mate, they said, "Hey, give me her number, bro." And he said, "What she look like?" I'm like, "Man, she look like she around 40 something, redhead." Oh, she said, "Oh, she a redhead?" She said, "Okay, she got that Irish guilt. She trying to pay you reparations, nigga." Let me get her number. He said, "I'll take 10 grand from her." I'm like, oh, nigga. Oh, man. They said, "Man, oh, no." They said, man, they said, you tripping, bro. They said, nigga, you know you need that bread. You should have took that. You should have took that, man. I said, man, I don't really mess around. They said, nigga, it's all the same. You should have took that 10. You could have got that 5-10 about it. If that's all you got to do. She was trying to all about the Benjamins, me, y'all. That's I'm quite sure that's what that was about. But I forgot to tell y'all that part. That's why I said I got to do a deep dive. At the end of that contract, lady was like, you know, I can, you scratch my back, I can scratch yours. You know, I'll make sure you're straight. And I'm like, nah, I'm good. You know, I'm okay. But I knew that she was inquiring about something a little more, but I still wasn't. I'm young. I'm so green. I'm like, so I'm driving home thinking about it. Like, what was she really saying? You know, but I'm so, I don't know. You know, I didn't know shit back then. You know what I'm saying? So remember, this is the same job I told y'all where the lawyer was like, what you doing this weekend? Oh, you know, I'm about to fix some computers and sell them, and I'm about to go hustle, and I'm about to do this. And I think once I don't get the point, you know, most women are gonna be like, all right, he don't get it. So I'm not even really gonna try to, you know what I'm saying? Like I tried, you know what I'm saying? So now that was a good time, y'all. That was a good time. Like I say, I ain't got nothing to say bad about that company. As to say, it was important for me to see that Trailer Trash Bob. It was important to kind of go through those things. Those were like, there was a little bit of hazing there, just a bit. It's a bit. It was a bit, but like I say, that's 6 months on the yard. That was 6 months on the yard, but that was a level 1. I'm saying, yeah, that wasn't no Supermax. That was a level 1. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, the toxicity 1 through 10, 1 through 5. We going by yards. I'm using analogies. I'm not saying that we involved in criminality, y'all. I ain't likening that. I'm just saying, like, analogy. Level 1 through 5 is a level 1. That was a level 1, man. That wasn't Angola. You know, that was nowhere near. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't enough because I never really went home stressed, and I didn't feel like there was some things because I didn't fit in socially. Like I told y'all, we was in a lunchroom, and all the IT people were having now see, this is a buck breaking haze story. I'm gonna tell you real quick, and then I'll load this up. I told y'all when I was in the lunchroom and I had my lunch, I had to leave the lunchroom because they were talking about who they were like it sounded like they were joking, but I don't do that. They like, yeah, man, Brad Pitt, I'd F him. you know, Matthew McConaughey, yeah, I'd do that to him too. These dudes are having conversations about joking about who they would sleep with in Hollywood. And the IT manager, that Negro, is sitting there just kind of giggling and laughing it up. And I'm kind of like, now I see how he got to where he was. Because most people, most brothers are not going to, they just not going to do that. They're going to be like, hey man, that ain't my thing or whatever like that. Like me, I'm just not going to play with that. I don't do that. But that's part of the hazing ritual almost, like, you know, are you blue? Are you black or are you blue? Are you blue? Are you a black man or are you Blue Lives Matter? Are you with the program? Because I'm not going to joke like that and I'm not going to say anything like that. So I had to remove myself out that room. They were wondering why I left, and I know I kind of looked at as the red herring, like, oh well, he's leaving. Why he leave? Because I just started eating my lunch. I said, hey man, I made up a lame excuse, real lame, but it was abrupt. It wasn't like I ate half of it and got up and left. I removed myself immediately. Because I'm not going to sit there and have this conversation with y'all. If I got to smooth and have this discussion, I ain't going to be in this bitch. I just ain't going to be here. They could have, for all I would have cared, they could have canceled my contract. I'm not about to join in with y'all talking about sleeping with dudes in Hollywood. Let alone dudes at all. They making all these little weird jokes and stuff like this. I said, man, ain't no way in hell. I'm not about to talk about that at all. Absolutely not. That ain't happening. So, but no, I thought that was interesting. But I could say, if we want to talk about allies, when I went downtown, there was a couple white women. They were on their way to retirement. They liked me so much. Older white ladies that liked how I did my job. They said when they heard that my contract wasn't getting extended, they threatened to quit. They said, man, well, I'm thinking about putting my resignation in. She said, I want you here. It was 2 or 3 old white ladies that been at the company probably for damn near 30 years, and they were getting ready to retire or whatever like that. They said, I will fight for you to be here because you earned your spot. And they let me know you earned it through merit. You weren't hired. They told me that, man, you weren't hired because you was black. You was hired because you're fucking good. You damn good. And I will fight for you to be here. So I could say I had 3 white allies down at that downtown office. I had a couple, maybe you could say, in Venice Heights because they were happy that I got there. I had the white lady that wanted me to tear her spine out. I had her. Cause I'll say she looked out. She never undermined me. She looked out. You know what I'm saying? And she was actually the first person that told me that my contract is probably going to end a little earlier than it wasn't supposed to. Because Robert Half didn't have the decency to tell me. That's the second time Robert Half did that. They did that to me, another time where there was some stuff they could have told me, but they didn't tell me. So I made them look good, but they weren't going to extend the contract. I think they did everything they needed to do. They were just it'd be cheaper for them to just have some people to do it internally. There wasn't much work to do beyond that. Now, so I had that ally. I had the redheaded diddler that was trying to pay me for freak offs, I believe. And then I had the 3 white ladies that was an ally. Initially, I thought Honeybee Bob, I thought that he was going to be, because he was kind of walking me through the yard at first. He was showing me different stuff, but then when he started making them little weird comments, I said, okay, I'm just going to kind of fall back on him a little bit. So that's my story, y'all. I got to hit the road. I might do one more story. You know what I'm saying? If I think of something else, but this is going to be about 40 minutes or whatnot. So I'm going to add to it.